right, and welcome to another episode of Have We Made It Yet? My name is Lucas, the actor, and I'm joined with my co-host here.
I am Josh, the comedian Yang. Josh, the comedian, quote unquote.
The comedian, hey?
The comedian.
Well, were you knighted somewhere?
No, but Sir Josh, the comedian would be pretty good. Would be a pretty good title. Maybe it'll be my Dungeons and Dragons character.
You know what? I wonder if knightings have taken an absence right now during COVID.
Well, the sword should be at least 6 feet long, so that should be fine. Like, you just have the knight with the sword from distance. That could work.
So I've been to medieval times, right? And in the gift shop, they like have those massive swords that you can buy from the gift shop.
Oh yeah.
Like even just a 4-foot sword is damn heavy.
Yeah, sword fighting is really laborious activity. Laborious activity. Yeah, laborious activity. Anyways.
So welcome back to the podcast where two creatives document their journeys in their own creative field. Of course, I'm in acting, and I'm joined with my co-host, who's a fellow comedian right there, Mr. Josh Yang.
Yes.
Have you made it yet?
I have not made it yet, but I have made a few more episodes of my Sleep with Josh podcast. So, you got to keep building the content up and keep building, kind of the little projects you have going. So, but Lucas, hey, you know what, Lucas, have you made it yet?
You know what? One day I will say yes, but right now, today is a big fat no. That acting class that I am taking right now,
yeah,
it is chef's kiss, man.
Is it? Cook.
Oh, cook. The teacher is one of the best teachers I've had, and she's actually based in Vancouver, and we're doing a monologue study, so it just feels really cool to understand how to do monologues in front of the computer screen instead of in front of other people, because that's the future of auditioning from now on.
I guess it is, yeah. But I mean, that shouldn't be too bad because a lot of the process does involve taping yourself for auditions. So a lot of people do that. So
absolutely.
But of course, in person, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. My God, our guest today.
Oh yes.
Yes. Oh yes. So okay. Just a little backstory behind our guest right here. Whew. So I'm I'm fairly new in this acting game. I was looking at my tax receipts for my classes that I first started in 2019, and I think my first class was in April. So I took my first round of acting classes at LB Acting Studio, a great studio in Toronto. If there are any aspiring actors here, that's where I got my first taste of acting on camera. I was probably incredibly sweaty during that class just because I generally sweat when I'm nervous. I think that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Right. I salivate. I can't really talk clearly. It's bad. I got over that class and I felt at least comfortable enough to take another round of those acting classes from that same studio at LB Acting Studio. So I remember that exact day. It was a little bit warmer and everything like that, but still, I'm not going to blame the warmth for my pit stains because I was incredibly nervous going into that room.
Yeah.
So I walk out into that room off DuPont Street, take the elevator up to, I believe, 2nd or 3rd floor, make my way into that acting studio. I survey the room that I'm in, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a stacked class. They all look like serious, seasoned actors. And mind you, I am now in the class called The Next Step. So these people have like some credentials in their name. They're pretty damn good. Then we all play this acting game. So you pick from slips of paper a line you're supposed to say, like say the line is, oh, hey, look at that bird. And then you pick out another thing and it gives you an emotion that you're supposed to say that line with.
Right.
So our guest, such a keener. I think he's like one of the first ones to like raise his hand and say go. Yeah. I'm usually never that guy because I'm way too damn nervous to do anything. So he goes, and I'm just looking at him in person and also on the monitor that they have in class. And he's giving me the full spectrum of whatever emotion that he's having. A fucking talented guy. And I was like, dude, I don't want to be in this class anymore, man. That's bullshit. When you set the standard that high.
Yeah, intimidated
already. And like, anyways, I'm just incredibly happy that he still calls me a friend, and I'm just and that him and I still bounce ideas off each other when we're studying in class and in monologues and everything like that.
Cool.
So our guest is also started recently acting too, and you can find him on different commercials for La Toscana and also for Odd Shark. He's a recently new actor, and I know he's going to be on big things when and if he keeps on progressing on his craft, because he's amazingly talented. So look out for this writer and future director and also actor, Mr. Shavae Lorenzo.
Hey. Woo! Oh, there it is. Hey, welcome.
I feel like I'm walking in like my boxing ring, like Mike Tyson in the 90s.
Dude, are you wearing a shirt underneath that, man?
Yeah. You know me. I got like a low collared shirt. Yeah.
Low collar.
Nice. Oh my God, how you doing, man?
I'm good. You know, just trying to stay busy and keep my head above water in the midst of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
You know,
as we ask with every guest that we have on, Mr. Shavae, have you made it yet?
Definitely not.
Oh, okay. All right.
I feel you.
Definitely not, but working on it.
Nice.
Working on it for sure.
Nice.
And just chipping at it every day.
With that though, when you first started out on this journey in acting, what were your original signals that would help you say, yes, I've made it in this craft?
That's a good question. It actually had to do with being in class. It's funny you mentioned the stories in LB. So I started pretty much just looking around, right? So, you know, I knew I needed to join an acting studio, and a friend of mine, her name is Jessica. She's a theater actor. She recommended LB to me. So I was like, okay, you know what? I trusted her. And, you know, I took the class, and mistakenly, I actually took the wrong class. So it was called New to LBAS, but it wasn't acting for beginners. So, you know, I get in class, and, you know, it's similar to Lucas's story. Everybody's pretty seasoned, and, you know, they're all theater acts, and they're trying to transition into TV and commercials.
Right.
Right. So, you know, I'm sitting there and I almost feel like I'm just a fish in a water full of sharks. Right. And, you know, I had to do this exercise where I had to really, you know, channel my emotions and pretty much just display a wide range of, you know, going from anger to sadness to fear. And, you know, I sat in that chair, and I can just feel like you know, that quiet moment in the room when everybody's really looking at you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I went into this zone. It was the weirdest thing. You can't even really explain it. It's just this zone that you go into. And I remember when it stopped, right? I was like, I can actually do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're constantly trying to look for, you know, this gratification or this acceptance from, you know, people around you. But, you know, when you finally start to seek it for yourself, that's when it really starts to, you know, pick up. And it happened to me. So, you know, I took that with me and I ran with it.
Yeah.
So
was there like a kind of goal or like end point you had in mind that pushed you to like take that first class? Was there something in your head that was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I'm going to take this class. I want to get there.
Yes. Fear.
Fear?
And the reason why I say that is because I wasn't fearful of being uncomfortable, because it was something that was really new for me, right? I was fearful of sitting 15 years down the line with regret.
Wow.
That's what it was.
Uh-huh.
It was, you know what, Shavae, if you don't do this, this might be one of the biggest mistakes in your life.
Wow.
And that pretty much drove me to sitting in that class. And I'm like, you know what, everything that we attain in life that is great,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? It comes from a place of discomfort or being uncomfortable. You know, that's
Yeah.
how we constantly evolve and progress.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So I just took that leap of faith.
That's
Yeah.
very powerful because a lot of the guests that we have on, when we ask that question, they say their end goal was like an Oscar, a Golden Globe, or at
Mhm.
least like millions of dollars or something like that.
Mhm.
But your real push was actually in internal uncomfortability to live with yourself if you don't take this risk. And I think
Yeah.
that speaks to a lot about your internal motivations aside from external motivations.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's you know, it's safe to say that, of course, you know, Oscars and all those awards are, you know, those achievements are things that we always keep in the back of our minds.
Yeah.
But it's honestly, for me, it's just being, you know, it sounds a little tacky to say, but it's just being a better version of myself, you know, constantly trying to push that envelope and
Mhm.
just to inspire other people. You know, a lot of the people that I look up to, you know, whether they be actors or artists or whomever, they continuously inspire me. So, you know, my goal is to inspire people, right? Maybe
Mhm.
there's another Shavae out there, right? And, you know,
Uh-huh.
he's really looking for that person to inspire him, to make him feel like, okay, he can do this. You know, I want to be, you know, I want to be something like that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's what constantly pushes me to do this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Was
yeah.
there a like a specific actor or performance that kind of like that inspired you
Oh yeah.
to get on this path?
Oh yes. I was watching this TV series. It's a very well-known series. This Is Us.
Right.
Now, you know, tastefully wise, I would consider myself. I really enjoy dramatic pieces.
Mhm.
To me, it really helps you connect with, you know, with what's happening, right? And I was watching This Is Us, and I'm a person who, like, I've barely cried in my life, and
Yeah.
I started watching This Is Us,
Mhm.
and something just like it really, I don't know, it really clicked for me, you know, and it just felt so powerful just to watch. And,
Right.
you know, I felt so inspired by, you know, all the acting and, you know, just telling a story and being able to relate to it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's really what drove the sword for me. Just really watching that. Yeah.
Was this before you signed on to a class, or was that
This
after
was
that? No.
this was pre.
Oh
This is pre. This
wow.
is one of the driving forces that really got me to sign up for a class and to get into acting. You know, there's many things that led up to that point, but that was one of the pivotal moments for me. I was like, you know what, I can do this. You know, you
Uh-huh.
just got to have some faith in yourself, and sometimes you got to just jump, right? So
Yeah.
So one of the things that acting forces you to do, and also I'm sure Josh can attest to this too in terms of stand-up comedy, is that it forces you to take up space, emotional space, physical space, because when the camera is on you or the crowd is looking at you, they're anticipating that you're going to deliver something, give something of yourself to the crowd or the camera. At which point, and you touched on this briefly too, at which point did you believe that you were good enough to take a place at the table and also present yourself at the table?
it's a good question. I think it was just constantly just working at it every single day.
Nice. Okay.
You know, it's, you know, there's those small things. You know, you get that gratification from others, and
Mhm.
you know, here's actually another funny story. So still very new into acting, and you know, Gloria Mann, who is a very well-known casting director here in Toronto.
Mhm.
I took a workshop with her, and I had to premiere a 1-minute monologue. And I remember, you know, preparing for it, I was stressing. I was like, you know, am I going to get this right? You know, am I going to mess this up? Am I going to forget my lines? You know, all those
Yeah.
actor things that, you know, go through your mind.
Uh-huh.
And I really, really worked on this monologue because, you know, I knew that this was going to have to be a moment where I had to prove to myself that I was able to do this.
Mhm.
Right. If it was going to be a moment, why not in front of this type of person? Right.
Yep.
So, I remember I'm nervous as hell, just, sitting in the workshop. And again, I'm like, all right, it's time to just jump in fear. She asked who wanted to go up, raise my hand. Right?
You were always the first one to go up, man. I swear.
Yeah. It's, I raised my hand. I was like, you know what, let's do it. And, I did the monologue, and she was like, wow. She's like, you can actually act. And,
nice.
Hearing that it meant a lot to me. It really motivated me. It's like, okay, you know what, if she's saying this, I can really do this. All right. So it's all these driving forces that just keep pushing you and pushing me. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I found that kind of a very similar experience to myself as well. Like for several years, like amongst my friends, I would always like make jokes and stuff. And like kind of floating around is the idea is like, Josh, you should probably give stand-up comedy a try. Maybe that would work for you. And up until that point, like I never really thought about it that much. I didn't know how to jump into it. And once I started taking a class where that was being taught by like experienced comedians in Toronto, and I could get their feedback, and it was feedback that I could trust. Then that was when I was starting to realize that like, oh, maybe I can actually write this. It's like maybe when I perform, I'm getting laughs and I'm getting good feedback. So it's like going into it with no knowledge or no framework of like whether or not you can do it or not, and then getting that feedback is like really encouraging for sure. I can definitely relate to that.
For sure. And I actually have to thank Lucas. I don't know if I even told him this, but we were in class one day, and we go up and we do our thing. And Lucas came up to me at the end of the class, and he's like, you know what? He's like, you got some acting chops. And, at the time, it meant a lot. And I didn't even really notice it because, again, getting this gratification from your peers, it's very important because, we do this for the art of it. Right. And, to hear good things from your peers and people that you're so vulnerable around, it means a lot. It does mean a lot.
Dude. And I mean it to this day. Like I just said it previous. I'm like, dude, you got something, man. Keep it up, man.
Yeah. So, constantly just trying to get better.
Yeah. You touched on that point of being vulnerable and everything like that. In terms of emotions that you have to display when you're in front of the camera and everything, are there certain emotions that you are still working on to really portray authentically, or is there some emotions that you actually really progress at?
Yeah, I really worked on, being so before acting, I would consider myself somebody who suppressed a lot of their emotions. And it's funny, as the more you act, you discover these things about yourself, right? They say the best actors are the ones that know themselves the best, right? And I found it a little bit of a struggle to really open up, right? To feel vulnerable, to feel sadness, to feel like you're on the verge of crying, to feel anger, because you feel these things in real life. Yeah. But for me, I was suppressing these things, and when I jump into acting, it's now completely allowing these things to open up, right? And you can't fake these things, right? You really gotta give it your all, right? So it was honestly, that was the challenge for me, just really opening up and being vulnerable and remembering what this emotion feels like. Oh, okay, this is what anger feels like. This is what sadness feels like.
Yeah. My God.
Yeah.
To your point about being on camera too. So auditioning is a really big part of our craft and everything like that. So do you have any like pre-audition rituals to try to get you into that mind frame of, say, a dramatic scene versus a comedic scene?
The thing that helps for me is preparation. I like to just prepare. I want to feel prepared. When you walk into that room, preparation goes out the door. But I lead up to it, right? It helps me feel sane and calm. Right. And when I feel like I'm okay, I'm prepared for this. I have a sense of just being really calm. I feel like when I'm the most calm is when I work the best. Right. So I just try and maintain calm and level headed. And usually when I do that, it helps a lot when I walk into the room. And just being confident, it's such a hard thing to do, to walk in front of, so many people, important people, to be vulnerable and, do your job. Right. And just to be confident and doing that, I think it helps again with, being prepared. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
Do you have kind of like an approach as well to dealing with, because like for us, we're all pretty early in this stage and there's going to be a lot of bumps along the road. Like, how are you dealing with as well, kind of having your hopes up for a project you think you really want to get and then maybe not getting it, or it's like then realizing you completely bombed an audition and like having to deal through that, fight through that?
That's a good question. It was told to me that, being an actor, there are 98% no's or 99% no's and 1% yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me prepare for a lot of no's and more yeses. But, even with the no's, you take what you've learned and you keep pushing and you keep moving forward. So that was the mentality I had going into acting. I was like, you know what, Shavae, you're going to get a lot of no's. It's a part of life, and I was watching an interview by Michael B. Jordan, and he actually had a really good point. He said that, as an actor, when you're trying to, make it and you're really trying to be this big deal, you're going into to a lot of auditions and you're hearing a lot of no's, right? And then all these peers that are around you, you see them booking roles and, being successful, right? But the one thing that you have to constantly remember is you will always get the perfect role for you. So you don't need to stress about the no's. That role that is the yes for you, that was the one for you. So I took that mentality and I ran with it. I was like, you know what? Go out there, give it your all, and it's okay if it's a no. Maybe it was for somebody that suited the role more. Maybe they were, shorter or taller or heavier. There's so many factors. There's so many things that have to do with being casted into something, right? So it's like, you know what? Just control what you can control, right? And just keep pushing. There's no's. It's okay. It's all right. Keep going forward. Keep pushing. It'll be okay. But there was this one time I actually, I let myself slip a little bit. So I had this one audition, and I was really excited for it. It was this music video that Director X was shooting and directing. And, coming from, a Caribbean background and, being within the energy of Toronto and seeing all these powerful videos throughout my entire life that have been shot by Director X, there was a heavy thing that really sat on me. It's like, this is really important. Like, this is somebody that I've seen growing up, right? And just to be in front of that person would just be such an honor. And I think I really overthought the audition, and there's a lot of back and forths, and I didn't end up getting it, and it really actually crushed me. And I couldn't do anything for like a little while. I felt defeated. Right. And I was like, okay, this is what you don't want to feel. So pick it back up and just remember not to get too high. Don't get too high or don't get too low. Just stay right in the middle. Yeah,
be like Kawhi Leonard. Just not too high, not too low. Be a machine. Be a machine.
Yeah, just be a machine. I think that's what really helps. Yeah.
Dude, in terms of your anticipation and your desire to actually get that role, can you go into a little bit more about, just because I think it's really beneficial to a lot of listeners to understand, of course, the extreme highs we go through as an actor, and also the extreme lows. In that one audition that you prep for, and of course did not end up getting, can you go through a bit more about the emotional map that you experienced as you were preparing and also getting the news that you didn't get it?
Yes. So, it's, your agent sends you the email or the text, hey, you have an audition. You know, and it's very confidential, so you're not quite sure who it is, but you know, it's an opportunity. You're very excited as an actor, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Shavae, you know, just be prepared. Just, you know, pay attention to what they're asking you to do. Because again, it's, you know, it's a big mistake that a lot of actors do, right? You know, they sort of just get into like this actor thing where they're not really paying attention. It's constantly reminding myself, okay, just do what they say, you know, and that's it. So just again, trying to be really calm. And I felt really confident walking into the room. And I was like, you know what? I feel really good. This one felt good. You know, you have those auditions where it's like, you know what, that felt good, man.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I don't usually get those a lot, but I was like, this one feels real good. I was like, oh yeah, I think we might get this one. And again, I was going really high, right? And you know, walked out, felt good. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this. So you know, you're constantly checking your phone, waiting for that grueling text that, hey, you booked it. And my agent was sending me, hey, you know, casting is checking if you're still available for the shoot. So I was getting those type of emails. So I was like, oh, okay, we're getting closer. We're real close now. Right. And emailing back, can you please let me know like what's happening, what's going on? Because you know, I feel like I'm just getting eaten alive inside because I want to know what the answer is, right? And then there is nothing. Flat line. And that crushed me, at least, right? So you go from this super high to that super low. And yeah, that was pretty much the experience of that. And I was like, yeah, that would hurt. I really wanted to get that one. But again, you know what really helped me pick back up was like, there'll be other opportunities down the line. Don't sweat it, Shavae. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. You know, I'm always constantly reminding myself of these things, right? You know, It's okay. It's all right. There's going to be more opportunities down the line for you. So just keep going. Yeah.
Dude, to your point about the constantly checking emails, I legitimately recently, well, before this whole COVID thing happened, because I think it was honestly like messing with my mental health in terms of me constantly refreshing my email after every audition and even in anticipation for auditions, checking my email every 10 minutes. And it got to a point where I was almost obsessing over my phone and my inbox. So now, as just a little method for myself to keep myself a bit more calm, like I literally put like a 2-hour break on my phone to say, you're not touching it. You're not going to do anything with this, so that at least gives you an escape to just be okay to neglect it for a while. Because again, we want every part there is that is being sent to us for an audition, be it for money or creative reasons that we want it, or just screen time. But to understand, and to your point, I think it's a great thing for our listeners to hear too. Like, the part that you book are the ones that are meant for you. So yeah, can you like expand a bit more about like what you felt when you initially heard that from Michael B. Jordan?
It was, oh my goodness, that is like, it was like mind blowing to me, right? Because, you know, sometimes we have thoughts, but we can't put a finger to what it really means. So, you know, for me, it's just like, oh, you know what, I'm not getting those auditions, but, you know, just, it's okay, keep going. You know, you go up and down. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, this means something. This means it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's what it meant for me, to my ears. I was like, I'll be fine. Right. Because again, you know, in this game, there's so many no's and it can really take a toll on you.
Yeah.
Right. But it's okay. The no's are for a good reason. They're not just because, oh, you know, you're just, that's it. No. Right. It may feel like it. It may just feel like they're like, nope, somebody next. But it's okay. They found the right person for it. It's okay. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah, great point. To never take it personal.
Yeah, don't take it personal. There's so many things that we cannot control when it comes to casting. Our job as actors is just to be the best when we walk into the room. That's it. We put it out on the line, and you know, we let casting do what they got to do. And who's not to say that maybe they remember you because of some performance that you did, even though you didn't get the role. You know, you hear all these stories from actors, you know, big time actors, or even, you know, people that, you know, it's like, okay, you know, I didn't get the role for something, but later down the line, it actually worked out for me. So just constantly trying to be optimistic about, you know, opportunities.
Absolutely.
Opportunities don't always come straight into your face. They're not always right in front of your face. You know, they can be down the line for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Josh, I also meant to ask you this. Like, say an audience doesn't, say a joke falls flat and the audience doesn't laugh at it. Do you take it personal?
Oh no, I don't think I would take it personal. I guess that's also one thing where you can kind of see a lot of new, like, amateur comedians where they do really take it personal. Like something they thought was funny, they go up, try it in front of an audience. If the audience doesn't laugh, it's immediately like a reflexive deflection type of reaction. So it's like, no, I'm funny. It's your problem. Like, it's the audience's fault. That they're not laughing at my joke. You know, I don't know what's wrong with the audience tonight. It's like, I'm funny. Like, fuck them. That's like one of the kind of initial, like, ego driven elements, like if you're an amateur comic. And I think it's that kind of mentality in my mind. I think it takes some time to get over it. If you're kind of going into the role in kind of like really an ego driven way. I mean, all comedians have like a certain amount of ego because you're standing there by yourself. Of course you need to have some ego in order to be able to do that. But I feel like there's a lot of ego driven that is a little toxic to the approach. So like, if you get deflective towards anytime the audience doesn't laugh at something that you said, and you don't acknowledge that maybe it's how you're structuring the joke, how you're delivering the joke, like the actual fundamental process of crafting the joke, then you're just not acknowledging the work you need to put into the jokes. So you're just putting yourself back. You're holding yourself back in my mind. So like, if a joke essentially, you want, as a comedian, when you're developing your material, you want to know when something doesn't work. Like, if something does work, great, you can kind of check it off, you can try it some more and see different kind of reactions. But if something doesn't work and doesn't work consistently, then that's the more constructive feedback, because then you know that something's wrong, I need to work on it, I need to change it. So whenever I see that, I feel like the mentality of the comedian still needs to get to that point where it's not about you. You shouldn't take it as like a personal thing, because it's most of the time it's just the material. Like, you can change the material. Nobody is going to be really up there thinking that you're an asshole just based on how you look, because they don't know anything. They don't know anything about you until you tell them what you think or what your joke is.
No doubt.
And then it's what you say that, you know, determines whether they think it's funny or what it's not. You think it's funny. So yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, in order to get better, like, you gotta not take it personally. You gotta, you know, be willing to put yourself out there, and then stay strong in your approach and your mentality that I'm not gonna take it personal. I'm just gonna work on it.
Great. To Shavae, and also based off your point, Josh, we talk about being vulnerable, and being almost a synonym to being vulnerable is like not being ego driven in terms of our craft and everything. In what ways have you brought that towards your acting craft? In what ways have you tried to be vulnerable? In what ways have you tried to be vulnerable outside of acting?
In life, with, you know, family, with friends, you know, I think practice in real life, this helps fuel your acting.
Yeah.
You know, we're creatures of habit. You know, if it's going to be working through this way, through real life, through things that we're doing every single day, it's gonna affect your acting, right? So yeah, just constantly just, you know, remembering that, you know, again, you know, this is all practice, right?
Yeah.
This is it's sort of like, you know what you want to work on, right? So work on it. Just make it so that you become better, a better person, right? Yeah.
Cool.
Isn't that the hardest thing though? It's acting almost sounds so it I think it's a wrong word at times, because when I say acting, I think of like inauthentic, I think of artificial.
Mm-hmm.
But the essence, if you really do want to break it down to it, like the best actors that we know are the most authentic people, or at least we believe them to be the most authentic, like Timothy Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx. He's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic
Oh
actors.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, I
I
think.
went. Mhm. Sorry, go on.
No, you can go. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just wondering, like in terms of being vulnerable, like what are their depths of emotional wealth that they have to actually portray something in the most inauthentic scenario, when again the lights are on you, when the camera's being pointed at you, when there's a whole crowd of people that are behind the camera. How
Mm-hmm.
can you be vulnerable,
I think it's, through the work that they do. I think it's being, if this even makes sense, I think it's being comfortable with being vulnerable.
Mm.
There's a level of comfort you need to get to in order to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Again,
Absolutely.
acting is such an intimate moment between two people, or even with just one person on the screen.
Yeah.
But even though it is a very intimate moment, there are hundreds of people behind that camera.
Uh-huh.
Right. So it's getting comfortable with, just understanding that, break past that, just, I need to be comfortable with this intimate scene that I'm about to do, even though there's so many eyes that are watching me, and also I think what maybe helps for them is they know that everybody who's there, it's a village, and they're all in support of them being the best version of whatever they're dishing out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe those are things that probably help them.
Absolutely. A great point about that, because we talk about acting as if it's a singular sport, as if you're in this alone. But no,
Mm-hmm.
usually at least you have a scene partner, usually.
Yeah.
But if not, even if you are in a single shot, there is at least a camera operator. There is at least a director. There is at least a whole bunch of other people that are behind the camera in support of you too. So you touch upon a good point. Like
Mm-hmm.
it may feel lonely, but it's definitely not, because everyone is rooting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a team. It's a team effort. It cannot be done with just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Every person is so intricate to the system and so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's there. We all have to make this work.
Yeah.
Right. So they're gonna be in support for you. They wanna see you be successful. You're a representation of them. If you look good on that camera or whatever you're doing, whether it be a film or TV or commercial,
Mm-hmm.
it's a representation of that total teamwork.
Absolutely.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, speaking on that, though, word has it on the street that you have something that you were planning on filming.
yes. It is a short scene. At first, so usually what I do is, when I'm feeling inspired, or if I have an idea, I throw on my camera and I record. Right. I like to record different characters, how they speak, their mannerisms, their cadence, just for some reference for myself.
Yeah.
And I just go on impromptu. I just improv a scene, or whatever the case may be. And this one specific time, I was just improvising, and I came up with the scene because there's a part or moment when I was really into, even though this may actually sound dark, I was really into just dark drama. And I think it was a reflection of watching a lot of like Handmaid's Tale, and just very dark dramas. And I guess that sort of inspired my brain in some sort of way. So I was really, really looking to, I guess, capture that. So I was just, in my room recording, and I sort of came up with the scene where, this husband, right? He loses his wife to, I guess, a drunk driver. That was sort of my thought. And he was talking to somebody, whether it be for help or for anger, for whatever the case may be, right? And so, I just recorded it, and I felt pretty good. I was like, that was a pretty cool idea.
Awesome.
And then I revisited it a couple days later, and then I really got inspired by an idea. So I came up with this story, I want to do something that's a little dark, because for me, I'm such like a bubbly guy, and I'm so just to be a complete opposite of that. I think that's sort of, it almost feels like a test for myself, if that makes sense. So I was like, okay, I want to do something that's really dark. So I came up with this idea of, there is this person, he is recovering from cancer, and he finds himself in a AA meeting. And the reason why he's in this AA meeting is because, just to tell the story quickly, he ends up, he's like a regular guy. He goes to college. He finds a job. He meets his fiance at the time, right? Life is good. And then, also with this person, he is he comes from a religious family or background, but he doesn't consider himself religious. He's more of a spiritual guy. So he's always having that constant tug back and forth between, belief in God. And what happens is, his life is really good, and he starts to slowly see life trickle down. So he finds out that he has testicular cancer, right? And the reason why I decided to use testicular cancer is because I wanted to represent something that was very strong, because this is a family guy. This is somebody who wants to have a family one day. And because of this, life is starting to fall apart, because, there's friction between his fiance now, them, battling with now believing that they might not have kids. And, from there, it goes to, life is going up and down, and, it takes place sort of in the holidays during Christmas. And, Christmas is a festive time, it's for family, you know what I mean? And, this is the moment where, everything is really going good. And, he has his sister there, his parents there, right? His fiance who's there. And at the time he's taking chemotherapy at a hospital that's close to his sister's house. And, he's staying the night, and he sends his fiance and his parents to an Uber because they have to go back home. Right. And he falls asleep, you have a good time, you drink, you pass out, right? He hears a knock at the door, and it's an officer. The officer tells him that his parents and fiance died in a car crash. Right. And I was like, okay, now I need to get behind what happens. So his parents and fiance are in an Uber driving home. The truck driver ends up, missing some stops, or, he's trying to make up for time. So he's tired. So he falls asleep on the wheel, and then he kills, this character's family. And this character's completely broken and just angry at life and depressed. So he then develops a drinking problem in order to suppress all of this pain. And his sister, who is pretty much the only person left in his life, is like, you need to get your life back together. And you need to go to AA, do something with yourself. So he finds himself in this AA meeting, and he's sitting around, and he's completely angry and broken, and he's hearing all these people talk about religion and faith, right? And the reason why I did that is because, a lot of people who are trying to have a second crack at life, they tend to turn to religion. It brings people together. It's forgiving. It's forgiving. And, here comes this guy, he's sitting there, and he goes on this rant about, there being no God, there being no faith. You guys are all stupid. How can there be a God when all this stuff has happened to me in my life, and all these things have happened to you in your life? So, they see this intruder in their safe haven, their safe space. And pretty much that's how the scene goes. It pretty much just takes off from there.
Nice.
So there's a lot of backstory that I wrote in order to use as reference, because I'm like, if I need to go to a dark place, I need a point of reference for myself. So just going into the mind of just creating this character and what happens. So
nice. Dude, can't wait to see it, man, when it does get filmed. Everything.
Are you so you're still in the process of like finishing up the script?
Now that it's sort of a blessing and a curse since this pandemic, because I actually had planned on shooting it. It was pretty much going to be getting shot now or even last month.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do is I started rewriting it a little bit. I might extend it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just going back and working on it since I have the time now to do it.
Nice.
So yeah, but as soon as this is all over, I'm definitely going to be shooting it. So
Nice.
I'm excited for it. I'm going to really challenge myself. I feel like it's going to be a challenge as an actor. Another milestone. To wear a couple hats. Co-directing it. I wrote it.
Yeah.
I'm acting in it. So we have as actors, we're creative people, right? And we're all creatives in this podcast, right? So why not exercise that muscle?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I love it.
So
Yo, to think quick on your feet. I think now is a great time for this word association thing.
Yeah, let's do that. Try it out.
All right. Actually, Josh, you want to go first on this one?
Sure. Yeah, I could do first one. All right. Okay. So go with the words, first word, and then the first thing that comes to your mind, and then we'll just chug right along, initial reaction, all that kind of stuff. All right. So clear mind. Your first word. Family.
Home.
Pineapple.
Fruit.
Rain.
Gloomy.
All right. Alone.
Isolation.
Motivation.
Inspiration.
Kumquat.
Kumquat?
Kumquat, yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
It's like a fruit. I always throw that in there just to throw people off. All right.
You got me.
It's a fruit. It's like what? It's like what's the first other word that's out? Anyways. All right, next word. Mountain.
Climbing.
Tightrope.
Fall.
Oh man, see, I was fine the entire podcast, and then suddenly there's some issues with my internet.
Dude, you're good. You're good.
All right, okay. Let's retry. Tightrope.
Falling.
Satisfied.
Accomplishment.
Ending.
Beginning.
Cool.
Those are my 10.
Nice. All right, man. All right, clear your head, get loose. Feel it. Get in the moment, man. Remember,
I gotta get lumber. Dude. All right.
Yeah, all right. Okay. First word. Fire.
Hot.
Music.
Inspiring.
Clean.
Peppermint.
Peppermint. Nice.
Hurt.
Pain.
Contact.
Solution.
Past.
Future.
Human.
Vulnerable.
Error.
Glitch.
Mum.
Everything.
Wish.
Reality.
Nice.
Cool.
Woo, that about wraps it up.
Hey, that was harder. That was harder than I thought.
Right?
Dude, thank you for playing our second installment of this word association game.
Yeah.
Almost got me sweating.
Right? Because you don't know exactly what your first reaction is gonna be. Sometimes it's like, oh, should I stop myself? And then it's like, oh, who knows?
Yeah, and then you have a million words flying in your head, and you say, all right, just pick one.
Yeah. Oh man,
love it. Where can people find you on your social media feeds today?
Pretty sure all my social media handles are at Shavae Lorenzo. So it is at SHAVAE LORENZO. So
Great.
Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
Amazing. Want to go,
Sounds
Josh?
good. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at Josh Yang Comedy, Facebook and YouTube. And yeah, continue listening to the Sleep with Josh podcast. It is coming up every week. So yeah, see what new stuff I'm reading on there. So Sleep with Josh, you can find it on all of the other podcast platforms. But yeah, Lucas.
Awesome. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at Lucas John Ing, LUCASJOHN, and the 2-letter last name, NG. Please click the follow and subscribe button on our YouTube page and also Instagram pages at HWMIY
podcast.
Yes, on Instagram, and Have We Made It Yet? !podcast on YouTube.
Yep.
Awesome.
Great. All right.
Thank you so much again, Shavae.
Thank you
for
so much.
coming.
It was an honor, and it'll be fun when we're at the top of the mountain, reflecting on this. So I wish everybody, honestly, the highs of success, and continue to do this. Continue to inspire yourself, your peers, your family, everybody.
I love it.
It's it'll work out. Trust me.
Awesome.
All right. Great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. It was a pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.
Stay safe, guys.
All right. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.